Alright, we're waiting for this thing to start up. Let's see, I'm waiting for some audio to happen. I don't hear anything yet. Looks like we're live now, I think. Hey, what's up? This is Dave, and this is the 5th day of my live streaming experiment. I'm probably echoing right now. I just updated my internet, so I have about twice as fast uploading speed. I was at about 5 megabits a second before. Now I'm at 10 megabits a second. And what I'm hoping is this results in a higher quality stream experience. I'm paying the same price as I did before because my internet plan was like from 2005. And the plans have changed quite a bit since then. So I'm pleased. I'm hoping that the upstream that I'm doing now, which is about before I was set to cap at 3,500 kilobits per second, and now it's at 5,500 kilobits per second. So I'm hoping it just looks better. It should. I still have plenty of bandwidth to play with. Not exactly super HD, but it should be pretty good. Anyway, so what's on my mind? Let me switch to the chat window view. And I should mention in the chat room that I am going to be streaming for about an hour, I think. It's 5:15 p.m. here on the East Coast. And what I want to do is just finish out this week. Now, I said I would be streaming every day around 11 o'clock. I managed that for maybe the first couple of days. But then my schedule got away from me. And maybe I could say this, I let the schedule get away from me. But yesterday I woke up super late at 3 p.m. But today I woke up super early at 6 a.m. Went to sleep last night around 9 p.m. Woke up at 6-ish. Went to Starbucks and had a pretty tremendous day. I was not sure what to start with, but I realized after thinking I couldn't even start. What I realized after spending just 2 minutes just free writing what was bothering me, and then another 13 minutes for around 15 minutes of pre-planning, I figured out what was bothering me. What was bothering me was I had way too many lingering chores, specifically nailing down my health plan, on the Obamacare stuff for next year, and then also just scheduling a global entry interview. For passport-related stuff. So, got those two things set up, and then I took care of a whole bunch of garbage, literal garbage, that was piling up in my house, took down a bunch of chores, and so I've just knocked off a whole bunch of stuff off my list. I also did some branding writing for the functional stationery stuff, and that's pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. So I'm going to finish at the stream. Let me switch to the screen here, I'll just mention. I'm testing the new upstream rate. 5,500 kbps versus 3,500 kbps on my live stream channel. GBS. Say.com live. Doing about an hour here. So I don't know if anyone is there, but let's take a look at the doing. So I finalized my about hook. That's the branding writing stuff. Let me fill something in the chat room. Reviewing a pretty decent day. Testing the new upstream rate. Graded my internet. So hopefully this is smoother. Oh, excellent. Hey, Fed. I like how you write your weekly review on Friday. I always wait till Sunday to do that. I'm wondering if the higher upstream rate will improve quality overall. So anyway, before at 3,500 kilobits per second, it seemed like it was kind of spotty, but at 5,500, they'll be good. Oh, okay. Does nothing on weekends. Well, that sounds like a good. I wish I could do that. I guess I could, but I'm very bad at doing it. I like to take my mini breaks during the week. So, but let me review. Let me review more on. Let's see what else looking at. One thing to talk about, like that was on my list for a while, was the branding stuff. So it might be interesting just to read it out loud on this and just to see how it feels. How do I find that again? Let me go to the screen. And I need to pull up a browser thing. That's not the window I want. What happened to the window oh, this one has to go here. That's on that screen. This one will open up my stationary business drive thingy. Writing. So there's two things. I had to write like a simple hook. Brenda, who I'm working with, who I've asked to help me focus on stuff, has been helping me with this. Yeah, Federico says, "Oh, dude, I'm game. Branding is something I need to work on in the very short term." Okay, let me share with you like what our Trello board looks like. So maybe it will inspire or horrify you. So here's our Trello board. Let me bignify this. And we're just using this as a very simple tracking thing. So we had a kickoff meeting October 16th, had one in-person meeting, and the two simple focuses were to create a first draft for products and then an about hook. The idea is like no one really knows what I do. If you look at my website, you really can't find anything. But just dealing with one thing at a time is the strategy we took. Plus, like it allows me to kind of dole out the money that I'm paying. Like I can't afford like to blow a whole lot of money on this, but I can throw a few $100 at it a month. If any money that's coming in from the stationery business is going into growing the stationery business right now. And we'll just see how this goes for like 3 months. Because otherwise nothing's happening. If nothing happens, then then the business doesn't grow. I haven't really touched it for like 3 years, and it's stagnant. So what I've been working on is the simple hook. The simple hook first draft. So Brenda just wrote me some very simple like guidelines based on our meeting notes. Did I even write the meeting notes? But let's take a look at the actual thing. So the first one was, I think, the About page. And with the About page, what I did was I just started like free associating here at the bottom. We'll just go, it's reverse. So I wrote, oh, what am I doing to do this? I write about my life, my projects, what I find interesting. I read detailed articles about how I do stuff. I maintain my blog and experiment with ways of to create the greater community of shared values. It sounds really highfalutin and fancy. I provide downloadable free productivity tools that address the common blocks to being organized. I sell digital and physical goods. I design and develop software for learning. And so after I wrote that, just to kind of get my head around what it is that I'm doing, I just did some free association writing, just to see where I went, what popped into my head. Things to communicate. I am experimental in pursuing that which is not boring and exciting or original to do. I'm also easily distracted, potentially ADD. Curious about the world and the diversity of people living in it. I want to live a life where I'm making new things that make the world a little bit more excellent than it was before, as part of a group of positive-minded, self-empowered, curious, competent, conscientious, kind, and generous people. This is something I've been saying for a long time. So a lot of these phrases in here are just things that I've found out about myself over the past, how many years of blogging? 12 plus years of blogging about figuring out what I'm doing. My essential challenge is to rise above the mundane and boring and be productive. By that I mean being able to make concrete change in the universe in a way that makes it a bit more wonderful. Or I want to discover and share something I learned about the universe with people I think will like it. Oh, you remember that? Yeah. It's kind of nice to look back at the phrases that one comes up and to see that which ones have really stuck. need to be brave and find my courage to push through the unknown and uncertain, because the answers to the questions I am still forming are on the other side. Over the years, I've evolved processes that seem to work for me. I am an investigative designer, practicing the art of exploring, learning, building, sharing. It's my version of the scientific method. I believe that the universe will get back to me only when I create something tangible and then share it with someone else. I believe that productivity is not only about measurement and concrete goal setting, but also about maintaining the positive feeling that comes from managing one's expectations and recognizing our achievements in the context of the journey. Let's see. I believe we are at our best when we're creating something good for others, and that my actions should contribute to the common good as we have defined it. Though through action and shared goals, we create the greater society as a supporting context for our individual achievement. Federico says, I always thought it was important to put your foot down with your statement of intent, so to speak, in your blog. It wasn't something you'd find in other design blogs back in the day. I don't think, did I put down a statement of intent? I don't think I really had it for the longest time. Is there someone who does that really well? I remember back in 2008 when the Nine Rules Network was around. Do you remember that? Those guys? That was the first blog network I came across that actually had a statement of intent. Their so-called 9 rules. There were people in that group that really impressed me with their dedication to creating quality content in an authentic and transparent way, which is why I wanted to be part of that network. It's too bad that it's gone now. I wonder what the creators are up to these days. Every once in a while, I see someone from that group post something. I guess we're still kind of aware of it. Fed says, yeah, I think it's more common on the marketing sphere than on the design one, where people are very much specific for what they are going for. Yeah. So, I guess that's the point that Brenda has me doing, because she wanted me to create these statements specifically for one of two groups. First are the engaged consumers, which are people who already kind of like people like you perhaps, who have come across my work and have found something interesting about it. But then there's a kind of a broader group of people who are trying to solve some kind of problem. I think the first step is just to kind of appeal to the people who already know it, just try to sharpen the message here. So people recognize what it is that I'm doing. But I don't know. All this stuff here is way too wordy, but I was just writing this to kind of get my head around what is it that I'm doing? What is it that I stand for? How can I convert this then into statements, to use your language, statements of intent that help ground and help define what it is that's important to me, and then also put the work that I do, the public work I share, in the context of those statements of intent, or something like that. I have no idea what I just said. Hopefully it made sense. And so I'm saying I strive to distill information into high-quality nuggets of truth with relevant best practices to create seeds, ideas that are convenient to share widely. I believe in sharing my personal experiences as an example for others to compare to their own. Sentence is a little weird. I want people to know they are not alone in their journey to be who they want to be, whatever that may be. Even in the darkest times, I strive to believe that my life is a gift I am learning how to wrap and offer to the world, in return for my own nourishment, to grow the pie for everyone as the better alternative to fighting how to divide it up. These are all things that are really important to me. I would say that these are almost in the chronological order that I discovered them over the past 10 years. I remember specifically this explore, learning, building, share thing. That reminds me, there's a note. I should dig up those old diagrams to make sure they're more accessible. Let me make a note here. Would be cool to find the supporting source articles on the blog and link them at the top level of site. For example, the explore, learn, build, share stuff, etc. That might be interesting to see. I wonder if this is also related to, if I look at my design website, I just I had lost this for a while, but I found it again. There was stuff in here that I think was useful. And no, they no longer offer design services. I think it was the terms of work. No, this is just relatively straightforward stuff. I thought this was pretty clear. This was after several years of doing freelance work, and kind of recognizing that the clients that I was working with, they wanted something concrete. They wanted something that they felt that they could own and have some sense of control. And then I also used it to work in the stages. I mean, like, when you pay me, you get the final delivery. It's simple as that. And then breaking up into phases that made sense for a particular client's budget. There was always a starting payment because this was just, this was like a filter, a threshold to separate the tire kickers who didn't really intend to pay anything to people who were willing to spend a chunk of money. Like $500 US was like a not bad starting point. If they were ready to spend $500 on something, they were probably pretty serious. If they're going to nickel and dime me and say like, oh, what can you do for $25? Then problem client probably. Also, if they couldn't identify what they wanted to get out of it, that was kind of a big thing. Fed is saying he had read the terms of work on that. They are very good as far as setting common expectations. Yeah, go ahead and steal from this thing. Have you heard of a book called what was it? Do the Work by I think I mentioned this in the chat room. What was his name? Michael not Morhaime. That's the Blizzard guy. Why am I Mike Monteiro? That dude. I don't remember quite if the book that he wrote. Like Design is a Job, I think it is. I completely spelled it wrong. This was a cool book. That was an amplification of his design talk. Like, F you, pay me. Yeah, I think we did talk about this in the chat room. Anyway, let's go back to me. Me. Did I lose my original page? You can get that website if you go to designdavidsay.com. Yeah, that was an amazing talk. Yeah, it was. Let's see. Where was I? Yeah, we're still on the About page here. So then you can see the color coding that I have here. I then went down and I tried to combine these into sections. I thought that these were all somewhat related, and I gave them some starter categories. So personal goals, my process, what works, community values, and what my offer is. And typically, I figured out the offer is after doing everything else. The offer, let's start with that. I distill information to high-quality nuggets of truth for my interests and process. I'm not sure what happened here. Search for and reveal relevant best practices. Create seeds and ideas. I guess these two things, the distilling information and creating seeds and ideas, these are kind of what I want my service offerings to be based around. I suppose I should just add physical goods to this. Based on the above. That's kind of what sells. Physical and digital as above. For money. Community values. My actions should contribute to the common good. We create greater society through action and sharing goals. Sharing my personal experience for others to compare and contrast with their own approaches. I want people to know they're not alone in their journey to who they want to be. These are all super important things to me. This is a part of, I suppose, the brand values, I think. I think this comes across just in what I'm talking about and how I express myself. I hope. That's not something that needs to be directly addressed as a bullet point. What works? What did I mean by this? This is what works for productivity. in my version of productivity. Measurement and concrete goal setting, maintaining a positive feeling, managing one's expectations. This is related to the game design, actually. Recognizing our achievements in the context of the journey, also kind of a game design thing. We are at our best when we're creating something good for others. This is a relatively recent rediscovery. Like, some of my best graphic design work in school was when I just made something that, well, actually no, there's an alternative version of this. The design example was when I was mad at something and I was writing something to making something that secretly pleased me. I should add that. Or when we are pleasing ourselves at the same time. That also pleases ourselves. That's probably the better way of putting it. Process. Broad identity as investigative designer, my learning style, exploring, learning, building, sharing, applying the scientific creative method. I'm looking for being cross-disciplinary, everyday thinking through writing. Is there anything else I do? Experimenting. Actually, that's what the experimentation. Not success, but experimentation. Let's see. Fed says, I agree on that point. In my experience, if I'm making something that's clearly valuable to me, that's great. But if I can scale the potentially valuable to other people, that's amazing. Yeah, totally, dude. That's what it's about, right? Personal goals. This is just like kind of what makes me feel good, I think. My life is a gift I'm learning how to wrap and offer to others. This is based on a hypothesis I had recently about gift theory. I like making gifts for people. I like designing gifts for people. Something that hits them on more than one level. You know, it might hit them from an aesthetic perspective. It might hit them from just knowing what makes them tick, and me and kind of inferring what it is that they really like about something. You know, this is tests my training as a designer, but the sensitivities that I might have toward how people react to things emotionally, what they really need from, what their learning style is, what from a cognitive or rational perspective, what it is that they need, but what it is that they need that they're not saying. I mean, it's important if you're doing design work for other people, or if you're selling design work to other people, especially if it's design work that they're not familiar with. For example, like a small company that's buying web services. I mean, they know they need to ask for a website, but it's kind of one of those things that they may not completely understand what they're buying. They know that they need a website, but they haven't been trained as communication designers. They don't know how to communicate on multiple levels, with people. They don't understand how it is to establish a common context with somebody. Do you have a common visual language, a common set of association, something in which you establish some sort of trust and some sort of something that to them is tangible, visceral, something that is something they believe in, essentially. Finding those things that they believe in is really important. So, gift giving is the same kind of thing, but it's wrapped up in the kind of the way that I see things. I also wrapped up with the idea of gifts is that if you can give someone something, you're glad to do it. That's the best kind of gift. I don't want to give gifts that are what's the term for it? Giving a gift with the expectation of receiving a gift in kind is not a good way to give a gift. You should give a gift freely. It's something that's entirely about the other person. It can be about you in the sense that, like, I also love this. To Fed's point there about making something that scales to be valuable to other people. So there's this whole thing I could probably write on this. The next one, I must push through the unknown and uncertain to learn what's on the other side. This is kind of an experiment, another way of phrasing the experiment, but it's also to remind myself, to give myself courage to do something that I've never done before. Because the answer, you'll never know the answer until you've done it yourself. Making tangible change in the universe and showing it to someone is how you affect the universe. If you make something amazing, you don't show it to anybody, how does that change anything? Maybe you feel good about it, but if you want change, and I want to see things change, I think that's something that's really important to me. And then I want to be around with positive-minded, self-empowered, curious, competent, conscientious, kind, and generous people. And there's a whole thing about growing the pie versus splitting up the pie. I don't like to have the zero-sum game mentality. So taking these phrases and converting them into my, to use Hugh McLeod's terms, global personal micro brand, I guess that's the long-term goal. This is all kind of overkill for what this statement was. So then I try to distill these things down. Personal goals redux. I want to be part of a community of positive-minded, self-empowered, curious, competent, conscientious, generous, and kind people. I'm following a particular path toward it. Process redux. I'm following my own path. As an investigative designer, I practice a scientific creative method consisting of 4 steps: exploring, learning, building, and sharing. It's driven by curiosity and the desire to apply knowledge to create tools and artifacts of superlative value. I become more knowledgeable about the world and myself. What works redux? Productivity is both about maintaining one's state of mind and fulfilling one's goals and desires. It's kind of an awkward sentence. It is logic and emotion working together to manage expectations and create value for others. That's also a weird sentence. It is learning about what makes us tick as individuals and learning to identify what deeply held values we have in common. I'm not sure if this makes any sense. I feel that there's some power in that, I think, but I think it needs some work. Community redux. I want creative independence and creative interdependence. Let's highlight this. This was a realization that was 5 years in the making. This is a combination of my creative individualism with the numerical strength of the community. I want my decisions and actions to contribute to what I call the common good. I want to share experience and stories so everyone knows they are not alone in the pursuit. I mean, this idea of people not being alone is kind of really important to me. This is really more of an emotional response I have to things. I hate it when people feel alone. Anyway, offer redux. To achieve these ends, I did research, design, and develop seeds for self-discovery and self-improvement. I kind of like that. I don't know. I think it maybe is a little bit too abstract for a general market, but I can work with that to clarify it. The big why. Why? To have the means to be an agent of positive change. I'm not sure I like that language. To develop the practical skills that make us effective in the situations we put ourselves in, able to create the capital assets that add tangible value to the common good, to tell stories that add to our collective community wisdom and keep us steady in the face of challenge. I have 0 dropped frames, incidentally. That's fantastic. Yeah, so this is, there goes the path 3 distillation. Path 4, higher patterns. I'm noticing that stories of use is a big part of what I do. It's the justification and the hook for all the things I report on and or desire. Pattern observe, seeds, stories of use. I like the idea of seeds and having a seed vault. I like the concept of seeds in science fiction, which is based on growth and attainment. The idea is that you can plant or sow seeds, and it will grow into its own unique plant or become the basis of an entire enterprise. For example, seeding life. The seed concepts from the end of Sword Art Online or the Diamond Age. I don't know if anyone you've seen that. Oh, Fed, a couple comments from Fed. 100% agree on the not being alone part. It might even be that currently the Discord might be having a much better effect on people than I might realize. Yeah, that's I don't know how to quantify it, but I just keep going there, hoping that, this is like when I'm writing and I'm just putting stuff on the internet. I'm hoping that someone stumbles upon it and gets something out of it. It's kind of like casting ideas, seeds to the wind, just to see how that goes. Let's see, in the second one, not exactly sure how to scale that better as a business thing. 5 mites in that sense. Well, It's forever immortalized in the stream archive fed. Um, where's the mites? It might be even, might be having, might realize. 2, 3. There's it's very speculative. Anyway, for my purposes, a seed is prepackaged material that is self-contained, requiring only basic resources and intention to grow, and 2, has a clear structure to its development potential, but 3, is capable of growing into its own unique expression and identity. I'm going to expand on that. Based on what you feed it, what you nourish it with. All right, sorry, Fed. You wrote 5, and I didn't remember seeing that many. I actually like this a lot. I like this definition a lot. This might not be the sort of thing I put in a branding statement, but it might become interesting in a internal product development Bible. So what are we making? We're making a seed. What are the 3 qualities that it must have to be a successful David Say like product? You know, assuming I keep that name. Yeah. Plus, like, there's a logo I could reuse for this, maybe. Let me see if I can find it. The original Lyceum logo. No, Agencium logo. I don't know if people remember this. Where did I put this? Can't never find anything anymore. These are old. Oh yeah, look how old these. This is like a super old post. When I was doing, I used to have a fake agency that I used to run on the side. And I wrote a blog and I pretended that we had like a whole bunch of different departments, and I would write things we're working on today. And so the idea about having a fake agency was to kind of trying to think more like in a business like sense. But this was like the logo design development. So I wanted something that was an agency but had sort of a agency plus Lyceum, something that has agency, like a web agency or a digital agency, that had the idea of making things, like some sort of branding thing, or doing things for other people, but also a place of learning, hence the Lyceum aspect of things. And then some of the sketches that I was doing was kind of based on the idea of having a identify something that seemed vaguely Greek classical, Roman classical. I forget what kind of columns these are. And so that was the first draft, and then the second draft. Spent another couple hours. I tried adding an eye to be extra mysterious. Now, if I were to redo this, I would make the eye much bigger. That actually might look cooler. I don't like how it's constrained between these things. Makes it seem awkward. That might be a useful logo if I expanded it. And then, I figured, this is too complicated. I need to simplify this. And then I looked at here, and these reminded me of sprouts coming out. So, that's where this one came from. And what was this? This was, the first rough one, and then this is the one when I tweaked the curls by hand. This part still bothers me, though. I don't know if you can see this, but the way that this curve goes around like this, I don't know if you can see the little hand icon. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like it coils naturally. This one looks better, but this one is wrong. But I could reuse this one as for the seed thing. Add like a little seed at the bottom that looks something useful. A tool. Maybe even something like the old Valve logo. Do they still use that logo? You know what I'm talking about, guys? Do you remember the original Valve logo? What was this? I don't even remember designing this. Oh, this is a cool form. I really should, just reintroduce all these forms. Yeah, it had that. It was like the old Valve logo had a valve coming out of a skull or something like that. Is it still that logo? Oh, maybe it's this. Okay, it was like, yeah, thing coming out of someone's eye. Who is the bald guy? I remember this looking different. Yeah, but the idea of something coming out of something and growing. Maybe it's an anime thing. Maybe it's the maybe it's from Nausicaa. There was this it was the end. The Nausicaa end scene had this picture of, I think, her mask with something growing out of it. I think that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, this image here. Oops, that's a terribly small image. I think that's what I'm thinking of. I'm amazed I can remember it. 250, I think that's the 100. Kind of want a bigger picture of this though. Related images. View more. These look like they were captured from VHS. Someone has got to have captured it from elsewhere. This is a more interesting size. Yeah, this idea of there's something that's human and then there's something that's nature and it's growing out of it, But something that is more like a seed. That's something that I think might be interesting. To me anyway. Anyway, moving on with this. Patterns observed, fitted solutions, stories of use. I like the idea of fitting gear to one's personal needs and context. To me, a specific challenge to become something more. As the individual develops expertise, the nature of the challenge requires more specialized knowledge. There's a specific example I'm thinking of here. E.g., Ollivander. Starter gear helps maximize personal strengths and supplements relative weaknesses. Truly useful specialized gear is how one practitioner recognizes another and telegraphs something of their personal approach to tradecraft. Symbolic gear overlaps with the symbolic with symbol. What did I mean here? I think with one's identity as a practitioner of a meaningful trade, let's say. Another pattern, curated resources, stories of use. Gear is another kind of resource. Knowledge and seeds are also resources. If I had a base where we're training people to be better, I think that's sort of what I meant. And this is taking forever, right? Past 5. This was like my draft to just see. And we're going to skip all of this. This is just me thinking about. It looks like Brenda highlighted something. She liked this. I believe in my own personal message. It's totally allowed. No one's stopping me, and I can't figure out how to make it work. And if I can figure out how to make it work, that is its own justification, guys and gals and all those in between. So Brenda's notes, here she made a pass at it. This is the about page for Functional Stationery, which is the brand for on Amazon right now. Paper-based approach, blah, 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 blah. And so this is the rewritten version. Let me read this out loud. I just wrote this morning. Functional Stationery is the official retail provider of designer Dave Say's long-running series of personal productivity tools. In 2005, yeah, I didn't proofread this. In 2005, Dave had the insight that while he liked the freedom of being a freelancer, he disliked the burden of being his own boss all the time. To dodge this responsibility, he designed a printable CEO to manage those aspects of his business, propping it up on his desk and then sharing the design via his blog. That needs a little bit of So, to stare at. Let's do a bad grammar. Where I guess I don't need it. Over a decade later, Dave is still creating variations of his tools for free download by anyone who has a dream and pocket full of ambition, ranging from time tracking to calendar-based planning. That's a little bit wordy. I'm hoping Brenda helps me chop this down. Functional Stationery is in the business of manufacturing physical goods at an affordable price based on Dave's most popular works. About Dave Say. Federico says, I haven't mentioned it, but I love from a UX perspective the fact that you have the passes laid out top to bottom in reverse chronological order. A little thing, but appreciated. Yeah, the reason why I did that was I figured you should start reading the most recent thing, because that was kind of the point. But if you wanted to read back into the history of it, you could just go to the bottom and start reading up, or just see how the layers are different. Yeah, or maybe it's just because a blogging instinct. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not as clever as I'm pretending I am. Anyway, about Dave Say. Dave is an interactive designer, graphic artist, and programmer. Since 2005, he has been writing about his efforts to be more productive and fulfilled in his work. That's a little dry. He focuses not just on the mechanisms of productivity, but also the critical emotional management that underpins any challenging personal journey. I don't like the phrasing of that either. As a distracted but ambitious designer, Dave believes in sharing the story of his process development as it happens, with all its ups and downs, as a key element of his inclusive sharing approach. I need to rewrite this. Read about his work at davidsay.com, join his virtual blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I think I should do another pass on this. This could be cleaned up, shortened, could be punchier, but I think I have the elements I want in it. Is it too much? Hopefully Brenda will tell me. I think this still needs some smoothing out, but we'll look at it again over the weekend when I'm feeling a little bit fresher. So that's the About page. What was the other page I was talking about? The simple hook. This is what's supposed to go on the product pages. Plan your day as it happens. The Emergent Task Planner helps you track your achievements in the face of daily chaos. Designed for busy people juggling personal goals with work responsibilities, the Emergent Task Planner uses a highly visual approach to creating clarity for your work day. I don't know. This needs to be tightened up. The ETPA is a single page that helps you focus during the day. Maybe that needs to be... This probably needs to be up here. Focus throughout the day is probably better. Helps you stay focused. It's this is maybe it's something else. The Emergent Task Plan uses using a highly visual to create task clarity. And I've broken this entire sentence. For people juggling work goals with personal ambition. Maybe something like that. I don't know. I don't know anymore. It's all just word salad now. Word salad. Ugh. I hate this already. Key features: prioritize your tasks for the day with a task list. Track your efforts on a task with the optional task time tracker bubbles. Write in date and time start write in and start time for flexible scheduling. Does that even make sense? Visualize available time between tasks with the day grid scheduler. Remember stuff that pops up during the day in the notes area. I feel my confidence slipping away. You can be as structured as you like by using all the scheduling features on the form, or just use the ones you like. Or just use them to highlight. There's no wrong way to use the form. Try before you buy by downloading the free version of Dave Saves website. Then select the if you just leave it at that. Since 2009, Functional Stationery has been providing affordable, high-quality productivity to empower people to construct their unique path to increase productivity. That seems long. Functional Station is the exclusive provider of printed goods based on the work of designer blogger Dave Say. I'll look at it again. Ugh. I don't know. I was happy to have gotten this done, but I'm not sure if it's good. I'll need to take a break from it and look at it from again. Hopefully get some feedback from Brenda, see what she says. Maybe I'll float this in the chat room and just get some feedback that way. But first I'll run it by Brenda specifically. I don't think I have the mental juice left today to to do any more work. I was up at 6 a.m. today. Started work at I was at Starbucks by around 7, I think, something like that. And then I was just, working on that and a bunch of other things. Today's been a pretty good day schedule-wise. And now we have faster upstream internet, and it's 6 p.m. on a Friday, which is ordinarily like the time when the internet around here just kind of slows to a crawl. And I am getting 0-drop frames, and I assume that everything is looking good. I'll check it out later and see what the quality is like. But I think this was a good purchase. It didn't cost me the same every month now. And I canceled the TV plan that I never used. At the time I signed up for this in 2005, when I signed up for my internet, they were trying to get people to hold on to TV packages. So they would give you a $10 discount if you had basic TV plus the internet package. If you just got the internet package, it was actually $10 more expensive than if you had TV plus. But they don't do that anymore because the world has changed in the past 13 years. So now I can get just a plain internet plan, and it's 4 times faster downloading than it used before. So maybe games will patch that much quicker. I'm kind of excited by that. I don't know if my ping will go down, if my latency will go down in games, so I can be like an LPB. We'll see. Yeah. Fed says most people have TV packages here, as far as he knows. That's in Argentina, I think. Netflix and related services are getting more common, though. You have Netflix over there, right? I've watched Netflix in Taiwan. Taiwan has crazy fast internet speed now. It's such a dense place that you can get wireless high-speed mobile internet across the entire island. It's something like $20 a month. Here that same plan would probably be $150 a month, and you still wouldn't get coverage. But Taiwan is so condensed that I think that's the density helps them with the economies of scale there. But anyway, I think I'm done rambling for today. And to wrap things up, what have I learned from this 5-day streaming experiment? Well, I still kind of enjoyed doing it. I still don't really have a plan for it. I was hoping that this experience of doing the live streaming again would just have me thinking about it. It may take a few days for me to just really figure out what what I'm getting from this and what value this provides to people who are watching. Um, I think it might be just a nice extension of our virtual co-working chat room, and just an invitation. Federico asks, how onerous was it for me to stream? Um, I have my setup. I have all my setup already put together, so I didn't have to make anything new for it. I have been looking at something called Streamlabs that will add like fancy stuff like subscriber tracking and bots and things like that. But the general like streaming setup is pretty well packaged. Um, I was doing it long enough before this for about like a year and a half that I have gotten comfortable just sort of talking and working at the same time. What I really wondered though was I just wasting people's time? Did I need to be more focused? Did I need to be more topical? But after looking on Twitch for a while, just seeing what other people are doing, I don't think it really matters. Like the reason that I would stream is just to keep people company. It's the same reason why I write things. Let me just like limit it to maybe an hour a day and just talk about stuff that I'm doing and share stuff that I'm doing and then talk to people like in the chat room. And I mean that's fine. See where it goes. You know, it's YouTube isn't charging me for the bandwidth, so why not keep it going? And I think I actually do feel better just like sharing my day, you know. So that's I guess it's not onerous at all. It really does though take a chunk out of my day. But if I think of it less as a prepackaged thing or a responsibility, then it's just something nice to do. Doing it at the same time every day would be onerous, though, I think, because my day-to-day schedule varies so much. I can't afford to say like it's going to be 11 o'clock every day or 3 or 8 o'clock every day because of meetings, having to schedule certain things like at that time. Like I have one thing that's scheduled every week at 2 p.m. and that's a crimp in my schedule. I think it's worth doing. A nice thing about that thing is that we can do it. We don't need to be face to face for it all the time, or even virtual. Yeah. Yeah. Fed says, if it makes me feel any better, I always find stream watching takes a huge chunk out of my day as well. I need to do it if at all while doing something else. Yeah. That's as background noise. I think doing these streams is kind of good. I really just want to keep people company, or people can keep company with me. And maybe when I say something interesting, or if I'm showing people something, then people might go and look at it. But overall, I think the most successful application of my stream that I've heard of is that Roger in the chat room, who is a professor in the Netherlands, said he'd like to put my stream on in the background while he was grading papers. So I wasn't watching it, but like the voice of someone doing stuff in the background, when he was having to do something tedious, he found it helpful. He was actually the first person to write me. He says, I've watched all of your live streams of me. Do you have any more? And I was shocked. He says, you watched all of these live streams? He says, yes, I put them on the background while I'm grading papers, and it's wonderful. He says, so what do you do? I'm a professor of engineering in the Netherlands. I'm like, what? So that was cool. Yes, Roger, the working machine, the destroyer of inboxes, Mr. Inbox Zero himself. One of the anchors of the chat room. Not always speaking, but it's one of those early people who stumbled upon this weird thing that I was doing. I think he was familiar with my website too. So yeah, I'm really happy too with how the virtual co-working chat room is going. I'm not promoting it, not really drawing a lot of attention to it, not really making it easy to find either. Although I think now that people have told me that if you Google virtual co-working, I think this pops up fairly high on the Google search results. This might not be a great test because I'm logged into my own account. Virtual co-working. It might. Well, let's see. There's an ad. Virtual co-working spaces are going to be part of the near future's what? Virtual co-working at My Work Hive. Experience co-working with Arena Virtual Co-working. Why virtual co-working rocks? I used to be somewhere on this list. I think it's becoming. People have latched onto this keyword. Oh, here I am. I'm still on the list anyway. I used to be higher up on the list when like no one was using virtual co-working as a key phrase. Yes, thank you, Feds. Big fan of the co-working cafe, he says, and also thank you for being a patron on Patreon. That means a lot to me. It tells me that like this is worth throwing a couple bucks at, every month because I get a couple bucks worth of value out of it or more. It certainly does help me feel like I'm in a community of not exactly co-workers working on the same stuff, but at least people want to get some stuff done, and who have aspirations or have things that they're doing, and they like the company of other people who are doing that and doing interesting things and having different approaches to how they're solving various problems in their life. Yeah. So, Fed says, anytime, Dave, I'll try to throw more bucks at as soon as I can. There's no need to, dude. Just by showing up, you're adding to the value of the room, and you're a tremendous contributor, to it. And I'm really appreciative of it. Like, you don't have to do anything. Like, you're already a regular that gets you in the room. And so just continue to be your own awesome self. The money isn't important here. Although it does give you that excellent purple name. If I could only make them glow or something like that, that would be amazing. But I think I'm done for today. It's 6:15. I've been streaming for about an hour. Let's see, it's 56 minutes and 21 seconds according to this. No dropped frames. Everything looks good. I would say that this is a very successful streaming test of the new internet connection. So maybe I'll be doing some more streaming in the future because one thing that was holding me back was the stream quality was very bad for a period of months. My upstream was terrible, not good enough to continue stream. But now I'm playing now and then putting more money into the actual internet quality. That extra doubling the upstream bandwidth and then increasing the allowed bandwidth by about 60%. I'm putting 60% more upstream bandwidth. So it's capped at 5,500, which is about, it's 55% of my total upstream. I could probably improve it, increase it to 6,500 and gain yet more performance. CPU performance is low too. I think maybe just allowing it to not, allowing it more bandwidth means the compression algorithm doesn't have to be as aggressive, which means that the computer has to do less work to get this up. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks, Fed, for playing around with the stream and giving me feedback. It's always fun to talk to you. And I guess I'll see you in the virtual co-working room with that. So happy Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. And I'll announce somewhere if I'm going to be doing the stream again. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see something or if you want to see pictures of shoes or toys and stuff, which I used to do. We'll see. I'm going to take a break from this for a while, though. Have a good one. Talk to you later.